Hi, I'm Katie Reinertz, and this is my presentational aid speech. And here are my audience members. The sun can kill. About 1 million Americans will be diagnosed with skin cancer this year. Skin cancer is usually not thought of as an important issue or lethal disease, but that's not entirely true. About 7,910 people will die from melanoma this year. Melanoma skin cancer is a serious illness, like all cancers, and learning more can save people from mortality. Acknowledging this disease, there's necessity to learn more about two categories: causes, signs and symptoms, diagnosis and staging, treatment, and follow-up care. So the two types are non-melanoma and melanoma. We have basal cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma. And pretty much the difference is how they look. One is kind of like scaly, the squamous one is, and one just forms like a smooth pink surface. The people at risk is anyone who is fair-skinned. It can range from young teens to adults, ranging from anywhere from 40 to 80 years old. Also, anyone with a lot of tattoos or scars or long exposure to sun is also at risk. People with damaged genes or have numerous amounts of moles as well. The symptoms is any change in an irregular mole, any new mole that is formed and is becoming larger and irregular looking. And then the other type is melanoma. Melanoma is highly life-threatening because it can metastasize or spread throughout, and it can then go through your bloodstream and travel to different organs or even your lymph nodes, causing cancer to spread throughout your body. And that is what ultimately can kill you. There's distinct development, and you can tell by the look. It looks very irregular. There's browning, different coloring. It's not just in a shape of a mole. It kind of has irregular borders. And then this can also be caused from like a high degree of sun exposure or even genetics. And early detection and elimination is crucial for this disease because if it spreads throughout your body, it's hard to stop. The causes is it's a cancer of the melanocyte, which is the melanin that your body makes, which is the color of your skin. These cells divide, multiply, and replace in an abnormal way, which is what cancer happens. Then these cells become useless and become cancerous tumors. And then there's two types, benign and malignant. Benign is where it stays in one area and it doesn't spread off to others and it's more localized. Malignant is where it goes through your cell or your skin and it then spreads throughout your body like I talked about before. This also can be caused by gene mutations and family history. They have also found that tanning beds have a high degree of UVA and UVB light, which is a direct cause of skin cancer. And whenever you burn your skin or high exposure to sun also makes you highly noticeable to it. Signs and symptoms. Overexposure to sun, especially fair-skinned people, you become more prone to the disease. And change in any previous mole, so if it changes size, shape, color, if it looks irregular, if there's any bleeding or oozing, an irregular raise, it's extremely large. There's usually no pain, which is why this disease can sometimes be called like a silent killer. And a lot of times it's on areas that you can't really see, like the backs of your legs or your back. The diagnosis and tests. They have a rule of thumb. It's called the ABCD diagnostic test. This is a self-examination test that you do yourself. You kind of like look over your body and like check your moles and make sure they're all regular. Things you look for are color, shape, size, and texture. And these are like the 4 important components. After you've done that and you think you've come across an irregular mole or something you need to take care of, you can make an appointment with your dermatologist, and then from there they'll decide if it's something they need to extract or decide what they need to do with it. They kind of go about it in different ways, whether it's an excision biopsy where they use a scalpel or like a knife to cut it out. And then from there, it will decide from the staging whether it's 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that depends on if it has spread and what kind of cancer it is. And then from there, they kind of go further in depth, like where else has it spread, is it localized, kind of to like figure out what the next steps are for treatment. And they can do that by doing chest x-rays and other different tests to check that out. Dermatologists look at the lesions, characteristics, and staging of your moles, and they decide that by, again, like whether it's localized, if it moved apart, and then from there, if it is more localized and the margins are smaller, you just cut around the area, and that can be like a simple procedure. Or if it has spread to different areas, you can go through chemotherapy, which then can like kill off the cancerous cells like throughout the body. There's also biological and radiation therapy, and biological is where they pretty much use the own body's defense system to fight off this disease. And then there's also obviously radiation therapy where it kills off the cancerous cells. And then follow-up care. This is extremely important because with skin cancer, it has a tendency to come back many times after, and a lot of people don't know about it, or they forget to look for it. And so it is important to make sure you're checking your moles, making sure you remember what your moles look like, if they've changed, if you have new reoccurring moles. And again, this could be either a self-examination or you go to your dermatologist like every 6 months. They can kind of like look you over and make sure it hasn't come back. And a lot of times they will come back in different areas. So you have to make sure like it's not always going to be in one area. You kind of still have to do an all-over check. And then also another thing they like to say is that try to stay out of the sun from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. because that's when the sun's radiation is highest. But if you are going to be in the sun, make sure you wear sunscreen to protect from the ultraviolet rays and different like radiation that your body can get, or like clothing, whether it's like long sleeve or pants or something. And then also with that, if it had spread, you could go through chemotherapy multiple times. And then with that, you obviously get sick from chemotherapy, so you make sure you have a balanced diet and you exercise regularly, so then you can like minimize the amount you throw up, or it makes you feel better. The death rate for melanoma has grown in the years and will continue to grow without knowledge and prevention of this disease. With the belief that the ozone is thinning, this leads to even more concern in the rays of patients who produce skin cancer, since more UV rays will reach the earth. Patients should now have a further understanding of melanoma, the causes, signs and symptoms, diagnosing and staging, treatment, and the follow-up care. By getting the word out, the aspiration is to stop the raise and start the decline. And then this is my 3 group members.